Hi, I'm going to be talking today about contracts and capacity, illegality, and third-party rights. I was able to teach my 16-year-old son about this, and he doesn't like to be on camera, so I'll just review what we talked about. So capacity in a contract situation, a contract requires a reasonable amount of understanding and comprehension between both parties. And so both parties must be fully understanding and have the ability to agree to the terms and conditions. So the possibilities of exceptions being made are if somebody has some kind of capacity issue. And so one of these issues would be a minor. So people who are under 18 are protected by law because their brains are not fully developed yet. They can enter into contracts, but the contracts are voidable, which they can withdraw from, and they won't be legally responsible if they choose to withdraw from because they don't have the capacity to agree to such things, and they don't understand the long-term consequences. So a minor can also ratify a contract once they reach the age of majority, but they have reasonable time to reject the contract after turning 18. So it still applies to them, even if they signed it before they were 18 and then they are currently 18, they can still go back and get released from the responsibilities of that contract. Another way you could get out of a contract would be with mental illness or insanity. So contracts made by mentally ill individuals are typically avoidable. So it depends on whether the illness impaired their ability to understand the contract's nature and the consequences. The example that was used is somebody that is maybe bipolar and they are on in some kind of mania, and they make really unreasonable decisions like buying a boat, or I think the book said 3 yachts. They would not be legally obligated to uphold that contract for those yachts if it was proved that they were incapacitated at the time or legally insane or mental illness regarding that disease. If someone was intoxicated, that's another way they can get out of a contract. If they were so intoxicated that they cannot understand the contract, they could possibly get out of it. However, if they later sober up and then agree, it would be binding after that point. So it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, and they have to determine how intoxicated the person was. Another way around a contract, and if it's an illegal contract, so illegality. So contracts must have a lawful purpose. If a contract is deemed to be illegal, it cannot be upheld in a court of law and it cannot be enforced. However, there might be exceptions, such as one party is unaware of the illegality. So an example of this is given in the book. It's a non-compete clause and employment contract, so a non-competition. So in some states that's legal. So in Idaho, it's legal. However, in California, it's illegal. So that contract would not be upheld in Idaho. Another issue would be third-party rights. So contracts primarily involve just the two people who sign them, but sometimes a third party can be involved. So when we have an assignment of contract rights, if you have a contract and you want someone else to receive the benefits, you can assign the rights to them. There are some limitations when you can do this, though. So a delegation of duties is another way. You can just as you can assign rights, you can delegate the duties under the contract, so the responsibilities. However, certain duties cannot be delegated, like personal services or when the contract forbids it. And I do have a personal example of a third-party contract, third-party rights, and it's when I was in college back in the day, even though I'm still in college, but I worked for a call center who we were responsible for upholding gym membership contracts, and we would collect debts on those contracts. And so the contract was between the patron and the facility, the gym, but they hired the company I worked for as a third party to come in and manage the contracts and uphold the payments on those. And so we would collect any past due money or address any issues. A lot of time explaining that what they were signing was indeed a legal contract and they're obligated to make the monthly payments. There was a couple of times what I remember doing this job where they were able to get out of the contract. So it was because a couple of people had signed under 18. They had said they were 18, but in fact they weren't. And so they were able to get right out of that contract if they could prove that they were not 18 when they signed that piece of paper. And that would instantly negate the whole contract and void it out. So I enjoyed learning about contracts and capacity, and that's all for today. Thanks so much.